Welcome to this open poetry and fiction reading and contest. I am Tom Laughlin of the Creative Writing Program, and this event is sponsored by the Creative Writing Program and the Office of Student Engagement. There's munchies and food outside, I think people saw, but help yourself at any time. I want to shout out to some of the people that are here from Office of Student Engagement and some of Francois DeCostad's students from communications doing some videoing, which is awesome. I want to thank Steve Rossi from the Office of Student Engagement, Dean of Liberal Arts Matthew Olson, Jill Keller of the English Department, Chair, I think she's over there, thank you Jill, and Beth Noel, who helped support us, her and her staff from the marketing office. We're excited to be here. There's a $50 prize for our winning writer today, and you will help us to vote for that best writer for today. And students are the ones who are eligible, and that's why there are boxes next to only the student names on that ballot sheet that you got. So again, because some people aren't here yet, we're going to shift around a little bit with order and have a reading, then we'll do some voting and see who wins. So without further ado, we're going to start off with Lexi Perry. Lexi.
Right here, good?
If they can hear, sure. Do you want a mic or you got it?
No, I think I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Hello. I have 3 poems that I'd like to share. This first one I had just written a couple days ago. It's about pretty much those little inconveniences in your life when you get them so strung in your head. Like, oh, I said that to someone back in 5th grade, and now it's 3 in the morning and I can't sleep at night because that's stuck in my head. It's called Self-Loathing Symphony. Some days I hate you as much as I hate myself. Most days I hate us more than all else. I hate our collective weaknesses. I hate the way we avoid the world and paint ourselves with subtle brushstrokes with the most pigmented colors. We pretend the world has done us some righteous wrong when we are all the individual orchestrators of our own dysfunctions. I hate that we do this to ourselves. My hate has never been about you, it's always been about me and my inability to find my way. And the only thing you've ever done is raise an anchor at the mirror made up of self-reflected shards. This next one's called Earthy Undertones of Hell. Hell is no place of blazing fire which awaits us in afterlife. It's in the blue-green irises of demons. Hell is prairie pastures and immortal fields we have on earth. Hell haunts my childhood home. Hell sits at the kitchen table. Hell lurks the school playgrounds. Hell shaves my hand before the rest. Hell walks overtime, not 9 to 5, while God hides under my bed, checking his brown book of loopholes and subtext. But to leave is a sin, and to stay is suffocating. We adapt to hell before entering hell. This last one's a little more lighthearted. It's called Heart-Shaped Rocks. I find heart-shaped rocks like cursive written letters, stowed away in drawers only to rediscover them after searching for something much less important. Like out-of-world tears, their paved paths are never marked, but shimmer on the rest in the green grounds, when I did not know my eyes needed to find them. And the older I become, the more I want to search these sediments and clench them in paws with barest hands. But pebbles of peace need not come to me. They hold too much weight, because I still have so much more to write about. Thank you.
Thanks, Lexi, and thanks for starting us off. Our next reader is Michael Kaminsky. Michael.
All right, I'm going to use the microphone. St. Patrick's Day coming up, so I'll do some lyrics. This one I wrote for one of my students, Santa Lee, in Paris. There once was a girl named CC who traveled to France for pastry. She encountered a mime. He was mute and sublime. They dined on pizza in Paris. This one is called Hooray. Once was an owl named Powell, perched on a birch with a scowl. He surmised, who, and thought it wise, who, all creatures on earth aren't foul. This one's called Gray and Astray. E.T. Sparky was an Anunnaki, flew his thin disk to Winnipesaukee, but not for foray, bright beams of stun rays. That Anunnaki drank too much sake. This one's called Dead as a Doornail. Long ago lived a Philistine giant and a shepherd boy who was defiant. Comet to the dome, David slung a stone. Only then was that giant compliant. Bear with me, I have one more I'm going to do for you. This one is a type of villanelle. Pyro. Ancient Greek Roman, nomad, no man wields it alone. Past time, past present, Egyptian, Precryptian, moon colony, Pyrone. Fire, because it burns, turns, its twist, its hiss, its undertone. Reptilian, Godzillian, Komodo, bizarre. Ancient Greek Roman, nomad, no man wields it alone. Cold-skinned chameleon, western in a bean kettle pot, soon camouflaged to its bright yellow home. Fire and warmth in hearts and sparks, Egyptian, Precryptian, moon colony, Pyrone. Brimstone or frost, ice or fire stone, gloomsday to doomsday, one shall be the cicerone, but either would be impressing. Ancient Greek Roman, nomad, no man wields it alone. Fire there in the endless zone, gaseous worship in the stars, Egyptian, Precryptian, Apollo colony, Pyrone. And when it's time to die, let fire consume my bones, and spread the ash upon the seam, sprinkled for eternity on the bosom of the moon. Ancient Greek Roman, no man wields it alone, Egyptian, Precryptian, moon colony, Pyrone.
Our next reader is Lizzie Haynes. Lizzie.
So I have one poem to read to you today. I kind of applied in a rush. It's called The Red Balloon. And it's about a painful memory from when I was very little. And it's all sort of about my frustration that I just can't forget about it. The Red Balloon. Me and my sister are home from Applebee's. I have a blue balloon and she has a red one. She's had this huge smile on her face all the way home. She must be so excited to have a red balloon. We're walking to the house and she trips. I see her balloon start its fast descent into the sky and out of her reach. Her loud cries pierce my ears. We are inside now. My sister sobs on the couch as my parents try to cheer her up. I try to give her my balloon. She doesn't want it. It's not red. I must have been 4 years old. I should have forgotten about the red balloon by now. I'm sure she has. It's been 20 years, but I still fear balloons. I lie in bed at night, and her cries still assault my ears. I see a kid with a balloon out in public, and I run. I'm sure the balloon will pop, and the kid will cry, and I'll feel just as helpless as I did that day in the driveway as I watched that balloon float higher and higher. Something I kind of improvised a little on the end there.
That's what writers do. That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's not against
Thanks,
the rules.
Lizzie. And if there are plenty of space for other readers, and I'd love to add some people's names to the list. So you can pass that along, or I'll give you a moment to think about that and maybe have you add on there. So yes, Jared?
I didn't know if that was what you were suggesting or not.
No, I know you're on the list, but if others are not on the list wanted to add, I'm happy to. So keep that in mind. Our next reader is Joe Nardoni. Joe.
One, it's a rather long poem, so I hope I can keep your interest. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. All right.
Your prerogative.
Well, of course it is. Many years ago, I started writing poems about my old girlfriends. And I would share them with my wife. Right? Not the smartest move when you think about it. And so, once I realized that I could write poems about my wife that didn't have to be perfect, I could kind of catch up on the number of poems I was writing about my wife. And this is one that I wrote for her. She puts up with a lot in putting up with me. And one of the things she puts up a lot with is my being away when she wants to go to sleep. And so, here it is. I call it For. For your bright brown eyes, I have honeymoon loved up the California coast, split logs and champagne, nibbled crackers and cheese, snuggled in blankets crossing our knees while embers sang love songs in cracks, pops, and whistles. For the touch of your hair as it falls like shiny satin along your neck, I have shared pine-scented late-night picnic table delight, plucked stars from the sky with you on the Caracas cliff, the surf's thunder pounding the rocks below. For those nights I came home late, and you lay sprawled on my side of the bed, cuddling me in your dreams, I have lit a lantern in my heart for you. My blood, the oil that soaked the wick, burned bright and true the straight way home. For the hands that tucked blankets around my fevered blue, servants of your generous heart, raising me to a life of small return services like the deep passion of hot tea on a cold night. I have, laying upon the Red Cross gurney, opened my vein for strangers, imagined your love flowing in my blood, saving them, singing life in them as it does in me. And that's why I smile, my darling, as we, walking hand in hand down life's broad way, past strangers blowing you unexpected kisses.
Thanks, Joe. Our next reader is Jared Watt.
Hello all. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you.
Yep. All right, wonderful. Got my iPad right here. I have a piece of ours. Let's do that.
That's good.
Makes sense. Thank you. I have a piece of fiction here today. It's based around two of my own characters that I just use as part of creative writing exercises because I know their voices pretty well. It has two alternative titles because this is still a rough draft. It is called Keepsake, or Jonathan and Cypher Clean Out the Attic and Are Melancholy About It. Well, this definitely has to go. Jonathan, who was poring over a plastic bin full of old magazines, gave a non-committal, "Yeah, sure, you're the boss," before looking in Cypher's direction, shouting, "Oh no, not that, wait!" Jonathan's attic was a lofty space, tall enough for the average person to stand up in, and as long as his whole apartment was on the floor below. It was the main storage space for all the non-essential items that Jonathan had collected over the last 23 years of his life, and was well put together in the same way that a week's worth of dirty laundry was well put together, in one large mass. With himself on one side of the attic and Cypher on the other, Jonathan had to sneak around the edge of the mass and the right slanted ceiling to make his way to him. Cypher fit well into the attic space, despite not being a person of average height, or even a person at all. He more resembled a portable radio or a floating television screen. with a flat silver electric screen which constantly displayed the 2 electric blue ovals that served as his eyes. Aside from the aforementioned display screen, Cypher was made up of 2 other smaller boxes. One on the top with a main display, of which, protruding out of either side, were what looked like 2 rabbit ear television antennas that were bent in the middle and leaning towards each other, and one at the bottom that housed half of an electric blue orb that allowed him to hover above the ground and stay at eye level. Were Cypher's existence more well known, he would have undoubtedly been the subject of various academic research papers arguing over whether it would be more accurate to classify him as an extraterrestrial or as a UFO. He wasn't organic, and he wasn't from Earth, but did that mean he was alive? It didn't matter to Jonathan either way. Cypher had crash-landed into his front yard not long after he had finished moving into the apartment complex and was trying to decompress on his porch. Once the initial shock of learning that other intelligent life in the universe existed had worn off, Jonathan had found Cypher to be good company. He was also quite grateful that Cypher had apparently felt the same, as it was better than any of the alternatives most of humanity's depiction of intergalactic relationships had suggested, and willing to help with basic errands and tasks involving the house in exchange for staying there, tasks such as cleaning out the attic. After 3 years of Jonathan renting out the apartment, and 2 years and 11 months of Cypher crashing into said apartment, the property had come into the possession of a new landlord, one who had decided to raise the rent by almost double, to the point where it wasn't financially possible for Jonathan to live there anymore. Despite this move by the new landlord, and what Cypher classified as a universally shitty move, believe me, I know, he did agree to Jonathan's request of staying in the place for half of the asking price for 3 months, while he looked for a new place to live. Fortunately, he was able to find a new apartment in a neighboring town and within his asking price in half of that time. Unfortunately, that meant he had to actually prepare to move, and that meant downsizing. It was a skill that he had never quite mastered, and one that Cypher had down cold. When Jonathan finally reached Cypher at the other end of the attic, he found the robot, they both agreed that it was as good a title as any, looking quite annoyed at being asked to stop. Jonathan had always been taken aback at how much emotion Cypher could show despite having no distinctive facial features. The top halves of the 2 electric blue lights flicked off, the equivalent of humans' eyebrows lowering in disbelief or annoyance. 2 lanky metallic arms, thin as steel cables but as smooth and reflective as stainless steel, jutted out of the sides of Cypher's main display box, his left holding the item in question and the right resting just above his hovering orb. Jonathan assumed that Cypher would be resting it on his hip, if he had one. He also assumed that if Cypher had any kind of foot, he would be tapping it out of annoyance. It's literally an empty cardboard box. It's not! It's Terrence the Train! At least that's how Jonathan saw it, at least. To put it in literal terms, Cypher was holding 2 23-year-old Hampers diaper boxes that had been taped together, painted green, and had 5 paper plates attached to it. 2 diaper boxes, and Jonathan's mother had turned them into so much more. With some spare paint and office materials, she had turned paper plates into train wheels, a cardboard tube into a smokestack, 2 diaper boxes into a train engine. All of these things put together to make Jonathan's first Halloween costume. Well, it's made in Terrace's image, at least. Cypher looked back at the cardboard in his hand. This is too small to be a train, and it is severely lacking in working parts. Terrence the Train isn't an actual train. Jonathan instinctively waved his hands in front of him as he tried to explain himself. He was the main character of my favorite TV show when I was a kid. My mom made this costume for me when I was 3, when I was old enough to actually enjoy Halloween. I can't throw it out. Cypher blinked. I didn't understand half of what you just said, but I thought you said that we had to clear as much stuff out of this space as possible. Yes, I know, Jonathan conceded. Don't take what we can't carry out with us, you said. I know, Jonathan cried, a little louder than he had intended. This is literally falling apart. When Cypher said literally, John knew that he wasn't using hyperbole. The green paint was scratched and peeling away, revealing the original red color and part of the hamper's logo, and the paper plate and cardboard were bent and twisted from age and usage. The conductor's booth, where Jonathan had at one point been able to stick his whole body through, was now leaning off at a 45-degree angle. No child could stand up straight in it now. And that's a cliffhanger, but that's as far as I got.
Thanks, Jared. Well, we had a number of people not find their way here, so we'd love to add you to our list of readers. Any others want to? A poem, a piece of fiction, a great non-fiction? Sure, come on up. Introduce yourself. Add you to the list.
Hi, I'm Ari. Okay. This poem is titled, sorry, can you hear me? Titled Hail Mary, Hail Eve.
1 second. So,
Eve, my Eve, I taste vomit when I pray. This bile marks repudiation like a whip across my spine. Each Hail Mary leaves my throat raw. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo. It is Donatello who breathes life into all organisms. The serpent calls up the spine of a woman I love, and now I love her with her scarlet letter, the painted obeyed on her forehead. There is no love like the one which tempts me so brutally. I crawl into her mouth like vermin, nestled underneath her tongues. The sweetness of deceit as she reads the oath and confesses to the voice in the sky that she did not eat the fruit. My Eve prefers raw milk and tender meat.
if you can add Ari's your last name?
Yeah. Munoz,
Okay. If you can,
M-U-N-O-Z.
so if we could add her name to our list there, that would be great. Others, anyone else who was willing to step up and share some of your own credit? All right, go for it. Love it. So Jonathan Bennett next. Sure.
Everyone. I don't have any of my work with me here, but I'm gonna read a favorite poem. This is La Canción Desesperada by Pablo Neruda. And I'm gonna read in Spanish. Emerge tu recuerdo de la noche en que estoy. El río anuda al mar su lamento obstinado, abandonado como los muelles en el alba. Esta hora de partir, oh abandonado. Sobre mi corazón llueven frías corolas, oh sentina de escombros, feroz cueva de naufragios. En ti se acumularon las guerras y los huellos. De ti alzaron las alas los pájaros de canto. Todo te lo tragaste, como la lejanía, como el mar, como el tiempo, como todo en ti fue naufragio. Era la alegre hora del asalto y el beso, la hora del estupor que ardía como un faro, ansiedad de piloto, furia de buzo ciego, turbia embriaguez de amor, todo en ti fue naufragio. En la infancia de niebla, mi alma alada y herida, descubridor perdido, todo en ti fue naufragio. Te ceñiste el dolor, te agarraste el deseo, te tumbó la tristeza, todo en ti fue naufragio. Hice retroceder la muralla de sombra. Anduve más allá del deseo y del acto. Oh carne, carne mía, mujer que amé y perdí. A ti en esta hora húmeda evoco y hago canto. Como un vaso albergaste la infinita ternura y el infinito olvido te trizó como a un vaso. Era la negra, negra soledad de las islas y allí, mujer de amor, me acogieron los brazos. Era la sed y el hambre y tú fuiste la fruta. Era el duelo y las ruinas y tú fuiste el milagro. Ah, mujer, no sé cómo pudiste contenerme en la tierra de tu alma y en la cruz de tus brazos. Mi deseo de ti fue el más terrible y corto, el más revuelto y ebrio, el más tirante y ávido. Cementerio de besos, aún hay fuego en tus tumbas, aún los racimos arriban picoteadas de pájaros, o la boca mordida, o los deseados miembros, o los hambrientos dientes, o los cuerpos trenzados, o la cópula loca de esperanza y esfuerzo, en que nos anudamos y nos desesperamos, y la ternura leve como el agua y la harina, y la palabra apenas comenzada en los labios. Ese fue mi destino. Y en él viajó mi anhelo, y en él cayó mi anhelo. Todo en ti fue naufragio. Oh centina de escombros, en ti todo caía. Qué dolor no exprimiste, qué olas no te ahogaron. Tu tumbo en tumbo aún llameaste, cantaste, de pie como un marino de la proa en tu barco. Aún floreciste en cantos, aún rompiste en corrientes, oh centina de escombros, pozo abierto y amargo, pálido buzo ciego, desventurado hondero, descubridor perdido, todo en ti fue naufragio. Es la hora de partir, la dura y fría hora que la noche sujeta a todo horario. El cinturón ruidoso del mar ciñe la costa. Surgen frías estrellas, emigran negros pájaros, abandonados como los muelles en el alba. Solo la sombra trémula se retuerce en mis manos. A más allá de todo, es la hora de partir, oh abandonado.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Others, you like stepping up to read? Love to have your voices in the mix. Okay, well, I will pitch in a couple, actually a poem and then a few translations, little haikus I've been working on lately. But you can be thinking about your choices of the best reader for today, best work. Lexi, Lizzie, Jared, and Ari are candidates. So those four, and you want to check off one of those, borrow a pen or pencil if you don't have. Was in California in October, and this poem is called Driving California's Route 1. The sun hangs above the Pacific's muscular waves, rolling onto seal-flecked beaches, tapping rhythmically at limestone cliffs. Out beyond the roaring waves of white, seabirds circle and dive, piercing a rippled patch of ocean until a dark yawn breaks the surface, scattering the wings upward, then slowly shuts its great-lipped maw and slips back beneath the roiling surface again. The sun hangs above hairpins and cliff edges that have carved this country's coast since 1934 with roadsters, Woodies, Cadillacs, Corvettes, campers, and tractor trailers of produce from family farms to co-ops to corporations. Their inland valleys now miles of watered green corduroy, rowed and picked by migrant workers, while hawks and vultures circle higher and higher. Beside the great Pacific, the sun hangs above scorched brown hills, scratched with dusty roads and tired fence posts that lean and twist. Bridges rumble over snaking sandy beds that have forgotten their watery names. In one blanched field, where yellowed boulders of displeasure seem dropped by angry gods, a lone black steer has bowed his head in shame, muzzle nudging the earth, searching, searching. And I have a few haiku. Kobayashi Isa was one of the 4 great masters in Japan, lived 1780s to 1820s-ish, something like that. Sorry, I don't have it in. And was working on some translations, I think, with the winter, thinking of other seasons, so some summer and fall poems of his. Hot day, tall mountain, up through woods and over rocks, views now of the sea. And a couple fall poems. This is, again, haiku that are 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables. Very short, compact poems. Cool breezes blow now, whipping the autumn leaves. Hold on, grasshopper. With September's breeze, once green trees shiver, transform, emulate the sun. So if you can, make your selections of our 4 student candidates, Lexi, Lizzie, Ari, and Jared. And there's a box over on the table. Should be, yeah. And I want to make a few announcements while you're doing that. We have a Creative Writing at Middlesex website, and I will hope you will check it out. It's Creative Writing, MCC at WordPress. It's also on our Middlesex site. We have a literary journal at Middlesex that is called Dead River Review. And we have an 8th issue of that being produced this spring. And want to encourage everyone to submit their work. Poetry, fiction, essays, creative nonfiction, artwork, films, other things.
Thank
Jared?
you.
I wanted to say that people like me and Lexi are on the editing team,
Yes.
so we'd love to see your stuff.
And you're so
We
pretty.
have a couple editors here. You could buy them a cup of coffee out front and maybe, no, I'm sorry. But we'd love to have you submit. We haven't had a lot of submissions yet, so we'd really love to have you submit. And the journal itself, past issues are wonderful to take a look at. That's deadriverreview.com, or yes, deadriverreview.com. And there are information about submissions there, the guidelines, and the email for that. So really want to encourage you to submit. This is one image of what Dead River Review looks like. It has other issues and lots. You can sort by poetry and fiction and look back on all different contributors' works. There's wonderful artwork from students and faculty and staff at Middlesex, and alumni as well. So I wanted to ask Jonathan Bennett if you could say something also. One of the things that is on our list coming up is
It's just up on my.
I thought I had it noticed, yes. Is La Wawa, and if I could have you say something about that. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I thought I had a flyer here, I don't, but Martha Collins will be reading on the Bedford campus our second Visiting Writer Series reading event. She's an amazing poet. You can see her work if you pull her up on the Poetry Foundation and other places, but we have links to her work on our creative writing at Middlesex website. Luwawa is happening on the 5th and 6th of May, and the 4th of May we'll be having another open reading on the Bedford campus. That's also there, as well as our celebration of Dead River Review, the release of that 8th issue. So hope to see your work in there and have you read and celebrate some of that work. So Jonathan, if you can talk about that in the IDS class a little bit, would be great. Encourage people.
Yeah, I think so. The Wawa, it's a term for like I think it's a Dominican term, but it crosses over different cultures. It's just like a bus for getting places. So the Wawa is a poetry festival. This will be the 4th time that we've run it here at Middlesex. It's available to all students, staff, faculty. We'll actually have some students who are going to be featured poets as part of this festival as well. I think we have 25 poets representative of, I think it's like 7 or 8 languages this year, plus translators. Everyone is welcome. It will be hosted at the AAC at the Academic Arts Center down on Central Street. And yeah, it's like a 2-day festival. Come join us on that Saturday or on that Friday. I don't think we've arrived at a featured poet, but we've had Robert Pinsky, Joseph Komanyaka, and some other featured poets. Yeah.
When is it? Sorry if I missed that.
No, it's okay. It's May. It's the 5th, and it's the 6th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's 2 days. It's like a Friday, and we usually start like in that late afternoon and go into the evening, and then it's Saturday all day. There's poetry workshops, translation workshops, and then there's like panel discussions with poets reading their work. And then translators talking about the craft of translation, as well as reading some of their writing too. I don't know, any questions?
Maybe to mention the IDS.
Oh yeah, so it's available for everyone just to attend and enjoy. And if you'd like to take there's a class that goes together with it for, it's like one of the IDS classes. I think all students have to take 3 of those during their time here. So there is a 1.5 credit or 1 credit course that goes along with that. You can ask me or Tom if you're interested in doing that, or you can just sign up with your advisor. And yeah, nice to see you.
Great. So if you can grab a drink, a snack, if you haven't, has everybody voted? Maybe Jonathan and I can do some ballot counting over in a corner here. Figure out our winner. Any other votes?
For ballot counting? I don't know if I I didn't know you were in the PRR class. That's great.
Oh, the what?
I didn't know that you were in the class for the Dead River Review.
Oh, I'm sorry, I mentioned it before. But
No, I think I maybe signed you up, so I should know that. Or like we talked about it. Cool. How's the class going so far?
I'm enjoying it. I really like being taught by Professor Long.
Yeah.
He's a very professional guy, and he's great in class, very flexible, very creative. And I really enjoy my classmates too, like Lexi, she's very talented, her read today. She's great to work with Tribute, who I think was on the list here today, he just couldn't make it, but his stuff is great too. He brings such a nice energy.
Yeah. If at any point you would like to make an announcement in class and to invite people to submit, feel free to do that.
I appreciate that, thank you. I think I did at one point unofficially.
Yeah, I think sometimes as we get closer to like the end of the semester, people are thinking more about them. I know that for processing, it's easier if you all get them earlier. So sometimes it's not on our mind till later. What's the deadline?
The deadline is April 14th, and we're less than a month away from that. So time just flies. I always enjoy the library. I almost didn't read today because I thought I didn't have anything. So I just, like, when Professor Laughlin said, I'm not sure if I ever saw it. Thank you. It's a rough draft, but
Well, your reading voice is very strong. And then the dynamics between the different characters was also like traction is really interesting. And there's like a really good narratorial perspective. I like it. It's like, I would need to read it more closely.
reading it out loud is always a good exercise
Yeah.
for me. I was really trying to figure out what sounded like too long-winded or what didn't work, like being described or
For
something.
prose, it didn't feel long-winded, so confidence on it. I felt like it happened to go well.
Honestly, like I said, I want to try getting into voice acting, so
Yeah.
that's the goal of mine. So I'm trying to practice being more animated in that regard.
Just wondered if we had anybody else lingering.
It's
So,
based on, like,
drum roll,
basically
please.
talking myself. It was fun.
Great work, everyone. Let's have a big round of applause for all our readers. Thanks to all the people who are here in the audience and voting and making this happen. It was very close. A lot of votes for different people, but our winner is Lexi Perry. Congratulations. Good work. Good work. Again, thanks for coming. Stick around, have some snacks and chat with any of the writers and talk about your own work and maybe what you're going to read next at the Bedford reading perhaps or a future. Thanks again for everyone for being here. Okay, thanks.